afternoon of October 22, 2013, Danvers High School in Massachusetts looked like thousands of schools across America. Fluorescent hallways, lockers slamming shut, the echo of students leaving for the day. Yet beneath that ordinary calm, something irreversible was about to happen. Something that would turn a place meant for learning into a crime scene and permanently destroy the illusion that schools are immune to the darkest forms of human violence. Colleen Ritzer, a 24-year-old math teacher, remained behind after the final bell, as she often did, staying late to help students who struggled, believing deeply in patience, compassion, and second chances. She had once walked those same halls as a student herself and returned as a teacher out of loyalty and love for the school, never imagining it would become the place where her life ended. Among the students still lingering was Philip Chism, a 14-year-old freshman who had recently transferred to Danvers High and struggled to fit in, socially withdrawn and isolated, quietly observing the world around him while carrying thoughts that no one else could see. He followed Ritzer, who was 24, into a school bathroom, strangled her, stabbed her at least 16 times and raped her, and cut her throat by a box cutter after he killed Colleen. He wrote a note, said, "I hate you all," and put next to her body. Later court testimony would reveal that Chism had been consuming disturbing material online and harboring violent sexual fantasies. Yet to teachers and classmates, he appeared unremarkable, another quiet student blending into the background. There were no alarms, no warnings loud enough to stop what came next. When Chism approached Ritzer asking for help with schoolwork, it sounded ordinary, even responsible. Teachers are trained to trust such requests. Ritzer did what she had always done. She agreed to help. She walked with him into a faculty bathroom, a private space inside the school where the doors closed and the outside world faded away. It was there, prosecutors would later explain, that Chism revealed his true intent. He had brought a weapon with him. What followed was sudden, violent, and final. The attack was not an accident or a moment of loss of control. It was deliberate. Inside that small tiled room, Colleen Ritzer was fatally stabbed, her life ending in a place where she had gone to help, not to defend herself. She died alone, inside the school she loved, only minutes after the day had officially ended. But the horror did not end with her death. What came afterward would chill investigators and jurors alike. Chism did not panic. He did not immediately run. Instead, he stole Ritzer's belongings, including her phone and credit cards, then began the grim task of moving her body. Surveillance footage later showed him walking through the school halls with disturbing calm, carrying items that belonged to the teacher he had just murdered. Students and staff unknowingly passed nearby, unaware that only yards away, a lifeless body was being dragged out of the building and into the woods behind the school's athletic fields. The banality of the surroundings, the empty hallways, the quiet afternoon, made the crime feel even more unreal. When Colleen Ritzer failed to return home that evening, concern escalated quickly. Her absence was not normal. Police launched an urgent search, and within hours, the truth emerged in the nearby wooded area. Her body had been hidden just beyond the edge of the school grounds, as if the violence itself were trying to disappear back into the earth. The discovery confirmed the unthinkable. A teacher had been murdered by a student inside a public school in broad daylight. Shock rippled through the town, through Massachusetts, and across the nation. Evidence quickly closed in on Philip Chism. Surveillance footage, forensic findings, and the stolen belongings all pointed to him. He was arrested the same day. The image of a 14-year-old accused of such a crime created a disturbing cognitive dissonance. How could someone so young commit an act so cold, so intentional, so devastating? Yet as investigators pieced together the timeline, the picture became clearer and more disturbing. Prosecutors argued that Chism had planned the attack, brought a weapon, lured his teacher under false pretenses, and took steps afterward that demonstrated awareness and intent, not confusion or accident. The legal battle that followed was as complex as it was emotionally charged. Chism was legally a juvenile, but the crime itself was anything but juvenile. His defense team argued severe mental illness, presenting expert testimony describing violent, intrusive thoughts and emotional disturbance, suggesting that he should not be held fully responsible for his actions. The prosecution countered that despite his psychological issues, Chism knew exactly what he was doing, understood right from wrong, and attempted to conceal his crime. Clear signs, they argued, of criminal responsibility. The trial, which began in 2015, forced jurors to confront disturbing evidence, surveillance footage, and testimony that painted a chilling portrait of betrayal and violence inside a school. In 2016, the jury rejected the insanity defense. Philip Chism was convicted of first-degree murder and armed robbery. Because he was a minor at the time of the crime, Massachusetts law barred a sentence of life without parole. Instead, he received life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years, a sentence that reflected both the brutality of the act and the legal limitations surrounding juvenile offenders. For Colleen Ritzer's family, no sentence could restore what was taken. They lost a daughter, a sister, a vibrant young woman whose life had barely begun. For the Danvers community, the school was forever changed. Classrooms became reminders. Hallways felt heavier. Memorials were built, vigils held, and her name became synonymous not just with tragedy, but with the risks teachers face simply by choosing to care. Beyond Danvers, the case sent shockwaves through the education system nationwide. Teachers questioned their safety. Parents wondered how warning signs could go unnoticed. Policymakers debated juvenile justice, mental health intervention, and school security. The case forced an uncomfortable truth into the open: that violence does not always announce itself loudly, that trust can be weaponized, and that even places built on structure and supervision are not immune to catastrophe. More than a decade later, the Philip Chism case remains deeply unsettling, not because of graphic details, but because of its setting, its simplicity, and its betrayal. A student asked for help. A teacher said yes. A door closed. And in that moment, countless lives were irreversibly destroyed. Colleen Ritzer is remembered not for how she died, but for how she lived, with compassion, patience, and an unshakable belief in helping others. Yet her death stands as a grim reminder that darkness does not always come from the outside. It can emerge quietly, from within the very walls meant to protect us.